Hello, welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get into anything, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. Just some fun conversation over there between Nathan and myself, where we're playing some games, having a few laughs, get to know each other a little better. Every time we talk, we grow a deeper bond when we do these episodes, and that's why I love those Patreon episodes so much. So here our character lore being explored over there.
Yeah. Love
But
it. Yeah, for a lore deep dive, go to our Patreon.
yeah. but anyway, that is only $5 a month. It does not affect any regular content whatsoever. But today we are going to talk about 1980s Xanadu, and that is directed by Robert Greenwald. Now, this one is actually I've known about Xanadu for a really long time. It's always been listed as like a guilty pleasure type of movie. I remember seeing it. Yeah, it's like a cult status movie. And it's never been listed among like the greatest musicals, but I've heard people talk about it in the past, and I know that it is a fan favorite. So I was actually kind of surprised when I saw it was nominated for a lot of Razzies that year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think it was one of the movies, along with Can't Stop the Music, that was the reason they made the Razzies, because I guess they really hated this movie.
yeah, and this movie was nominated for Worst Picture. It didn't win. It did win, though, for Worst Director for Robert Greenwald.
Okay.
Okay, sure, why not? And but once we do a deep dive of this movie, we'll figure out if that is deserved or not. But uh, like I said, this is a musical. It is right around the same time as the '70s are ended. You know, the '80s are starting to come in. So it has like a very faint hint to the '80s, but oh man, it's like very, very late '70s where it's like roller discos,
Yeah, Death of Disco.
laser lights, neon lights everywhere. And it stars the legendary Olivia Newton-John, who's made a lot of other musicals very famous, Grease being one of them. And so this is actually was supposed to be like her big, like, starring vehicle, because was always in a co-star role, and she never had top billing, or she was always sharing top billing with somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this was supposed to be like her, like, I'm here, I'm ready to do my own movies. And history shows that it is actually one of the most critically and commercially panned movies to come out from the '80s. And it was a $20 million budget, made $23 million, so not a very good hit, and did not do that well. But the soundtrack to this movie is done by ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, and actually the movie found success in the music by having one of the most successful albums of that decade for
Which
the
is
movies.
crazy.
Right. So the music in here kind of supersedes itself. But getting into the actual movie itself, the whole movie is about this one painter named Sonny Malone, and it's actually stars as Michael Beck from
Woo!
The
Go ahead.
Warriors.
Yeah, returning actor Michael Beck, who isn't in a lot.
No, he's not, and he came out with like two really big movies,
Like a year, 1 year after another, right?
Yeah, it was like one after another almost. But yeah, he's the main male lead in this movie. He's the love interest, and he is a struggling artist. He has a job where he takes album covers and paints them onto larger canvases.
Yeah, for like ads and stuff. Yeah, and
yeah.
he's like the best in the business, man. He can paint them fast.
Yeah, that's what he said. You're the fastest guy out there, and he's like sees that as such an insult, because it's just like, I'm fast. That's it. Like, it doesn't even like compliment his art. Just like says like, you're fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be upset too, especially
Yeah.
because his whole deal is he really wants to become an artist. And he's like, he makes art and he just destroys it because he doesn't feel complete.
Yeah, so because he tried to go out on his own. They said he tried to become like a freelancer, and he kind of like ended up becoming a struggling, starving
Mhm.
artist. So he had to crawl back to his corporate gig just to get money.
Yeah.
And uh, but the movies, you kind of get that established, and the movie starts with a picture of a mural on the street of a concrete wall, and it's these five women, and they all become alive, and then they play the song
Mhm.
"Alive" by Electric Light Orchestra, and they
Yeah.
all do like a big musical number right there.
I feel alive. Yeah, this scene, what a way to start your movie because like each dancer feels like they're like in their own movie doing a completely different dance. Like it'll show somebody doing this wild dance and then they'll move to another person doing something completely different.
Well, I mean that they probably were. Maybe they were going to go help some other artists out because that's
No,
like that.
yeah,
That was their objectives.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because they're muses, right? They're for the people. They're gonna go and help out struggling artists.
Yeah. So and Olivia Newton-John becomes alive. And what did you think of the song?
That one I didn't like it. It's a little repetitive.
Okay,
Yes. What,
I
you're saying
liked
you love
I
it?
I,
Yeah.
I liked it. Yes, because I
Yes.
I do I do like Electric Light Orchestra.
No, nothing wrong with that. Good band.
Yeah,
Yeah. That song, I don't know. It was like they kept saying alive over and over, and I got a little tired. I like the dancing though. I like how they all have that very 80s haze around them, like to show like, oh yeah, they're not real people. So they have like this blue light around
yeah,
them.
yeah. Like a purple outline around their body, like they're
Hmm.
a cartoon character. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they do that, and she comes whizzing by on her a stream of light behind her on roller
Yeah,
skates.
she becomes like a comet of light multiple times in this movie.
Yeah, and she ends up running into Michael Beck, and they kiss, and he's like, "Who was that mysterious girl?"
Hmm.
And that's kind of like the plot of the movie, where he's just trying to find out who this girl is, and trying to get to know her because he's already fallen madly in love with this girl. And you know
Yeah.
what? She turns out to be on one of the album covers that he's painting.
Yeah, I love that because he's painting her and he goes finds the photographer and he's just like, man, she just appeared. I was taking 200 photos and then the one she took, she was in there. And he's
Well,
like,
yeah,
please don't tell
yeah,
anybody I'm a hack.
yeah, that was like the funniest story because it was like he's like, "Oh, I was just snapping these pictures, man. There wasn't even supposed to be a girl in this photo." It's like the girl, she literally like whizzed right by, right in front of the camera. I snapped a photo of her. That was the best one, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
using. I don't even know who she is.
Oh yeah, and we have to bring up that every scene transition has this like clackerboard, like animated transition, like a dang Star Wars movie.
And
Uh,
it makes a laser noise too, like,
yeah, it's so silly. And I love how like the painting group because he doesn't paint alone these album covers. He has like a whole group of people. It feels like a sitcom. Like he opens the door, walks in, they're
yeah,
like, "Oh, Sonny, come on, when are you gonna learn, buddy, not to show up to work late?"
yeah, and he's got a jerk boss too. It's like
Uh-huh.
I want you in my office in 5 minutes, and if you take 6 minutes, you might as well keep walking.
Yeah. And then Sonny's
And
kind of like, "Oh, I can't think of Tuesday as Wednesday. I guess I
yeah,
gotta make Tuesday Wednesday."
yeah, like everyone's like, look, if he says today's Tuesday and it's Wednesday, today's Tuesday, and then they go, basically like when he goes up to his boss, I like when he has the conversation with his boss. His boss is like, look, man, I was just like you. I was an artist too, but now look at me. I got a corporate job. I gave up art a long time ago. Like it's great. I'm making all kinds
Mhm.
of money now. And it's like, man, he's like, I just wanted to make good art. He's like, man, good art. How about making money? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think he's like, oh, you're thinking for yourself. You're not thinking for the company. Think like a company. You're in the company. Yeah, no, it's really funny actually. I mean, I don't know if it's meant to be as funny as it is, but I don't know. It's fun.
it's just it's like a little cheesy conversation, but yeah,
Mhm.
I don't think it was meant to be funny,
No.
but it
Oh,
was.
but you know who he runs into though on his trek to find this girl? I forgot that he was in this movie, but Gene Kelly, the famous like movie star, and this is his last movie, shows up. And he's like a 40s clarinet player, and their dreams intertwine. Both Gene Kelly and Michael Beck's character. They decide to open up a music, like a what do you call it, like a nightclub together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, of course, the perfect pairing, a clarinet player and a, guy that doesn't know anything about
Yeah.
business at all.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
But he's a dreamer. They're both dreamers, so
Hmm.
that's the whole bit. And I mean, it's kind of revealed though, because like it shows a picture of Gene Kelly when he was younger, and you see a picture of like Olivia Newton-John to make it look like it's an old photo, and there he's
Hmm.
just like, huh? And it's revealed that she actually was his muse too, like years ago.
Hmm.
And they do actually like a little dance number between Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty good number. I was actually kind of impressed. So I didn't know this movie was like a play on like I guess it isn't a play on it, but it takes a lot of inspiration from like 40s, 50s musicals. And they have like a tap dance sequence where like Gene Kelly's like thinking of the past, and slowly fading in the background is like a bandstand, and Olivia Newton-John walks down and dances with him. Pretty good scene, actually. I actually like Gene Kelly in this movie quite a bit. He still has the charm that he's always had.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, at this point, he's almost 70, I believe. I think
Wow.
he's like, at this point, I believe he's like 68, I want to
Hmm.
say. So, he's definitely not young, but he's not moving as fast or as spry as he did like an American in Paris, which was 30
No.
years before this. But for his age, he's still got rhythm and everything. He still moves pretty smoothly. So
Hmm.
I was pretty impressed by it. But yeah, I actually was really um taken aback by this, because I was just like, oh wow, this is like a really, really nice number. It's a
Hmm.
really nice sentimental scene.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I liked about it. And that's my thing on this movie, man. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. Like, I mean, like, is it technically not a good movie? Like, I get it, but it is a lot of fun. I think if I were to pick one thing, and I think I just to bring it up that I don't really like, is actually Michael Beck. I think he's kind of the weak link of the movie. I think they needed someone with a little more charisma in that role. And I love Michael Beck, but I just don't think he was the right fit, I guess. It just doesn't really work for me.
No, yeah, I would have liked somebody with a little more charisma. I
Hmm.
mean, I which I don't have anything against Michael Beck. Like I
No,
said,
no, I like him in the Warriors.
yeah, he's great in the Warriors, but that's like a very serious role. This is
Hmm.
not like a really fun. This is like a really fun, happy-go-lucky type of movie, and it's not,
Hmm.
to me, his what he's putting out there is not really matching the tone.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. But like everything, I think Olivia Newton-John, she's a singer acting, but she's great when she's singing and dancing.
Well, I don't think this is a bad movie at all, and
No, yeah.
I was very entertained by this movie.
No, it's a very entertaining movie.
I had an absolute blast watching it. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, for me, it's like all the music just hit right and everything too. Like I
Hmm.
didn't, there was a lot of like that. I love that era type of music, and Olivia
Hmm.
Newton-John. I think she did really well. In her
Hmm.
singing role and everything like that. Maybe not like as an actress per se, but this is not really like an
No,
acting type of movie. So it's more of like, is she a performer? And yeah, she does great as a performer in this movie.
yeah, no, I agree, and it's just a silly movie. Like it kind of reminds me of Mannequin, where it has to deal with gods and stuff like that. Like it doesn't take itself very seriously, which I can appreciate. And
Yeah,
the roller skating's pretty cool. I like to see some roller skating action.
yeah. There's a lot of roller skating in this movie.
Hmm.
There's this. They have like a musical number where they're on their roller skates and
Mm.
everything. The one a criticism I will say about this movie that kind of drew me out a little bit is that I think the sets in this movie actually look really cheap looking, and
I
it's
can
like
see that. Yeah.
it's very clearly like on a sound stage, like like the scenes where like they're rollerblading. It's like, it's like on this like really dark lit
Oh yeah,
stage
when
with
the
like,
train pops up.
yeah, and like it's just like there's like a scene backdrop, like a literal like matte painting in the
Yeah.
background, or like even at the end when they're dancing in the club, it just looks like a very cheap looking set, and it's like it doesn't really. I guess I mean, this is maybe me being a little too thinking too big here, but I was really wanting some like grand set pieces, and
Yeah.
I don't really feel like this movie really gave me any.
Yeah,
But
something a little more gaudier, kind of like an American in Paris, like that final sequence, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I could see that for the club. For the one where like it has the matte painting and like the train popping up, I don't know. That might have been intentional to make it look
yeah.
that bare.
Well, I mean, that one would have been forgivable, but they do that scene again, kind of when they do like
It's true.
that 40s 80s clash number,
Yeah,
which
which is
that's
the one number I really don't like in that movie.
no, I didn't like that one either. So
Yeah.
that's the one musical number where I would have cut that one.
Yeah,
But
so I like the dancing, but like the
but
songs coming together, the 40s and I guess 80s music, I that just didn't work for me.
no, it didn't for me either. But I mean but my point was is like, the set piece in that is like almost the exact same as the
Hmm.
one from the when they're doing the suddenly song.
Yes, yeah. Which
Um
which the suddenly song, if I remember, yeah, I like that song. Oh,
yeah,
Don Bluth animation.
that was got to say. So yeah,
Yes.
we do get an animated musical number too. And I mean, like you said, it's Don Bluth, and
Hmm.
it's really high quality looking.
Oh, it's great. I knew who it was as soon as like it happened. I was like, "Oh, holy crap!" I had to look it up, but I was like, "Yeah, I know. Like that's actually high quality, almost Disney level animation."
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good. I mean, I was surprised at it because, like you said, I saw that and I'm like, that's got to be Don Bluth, and
Hmm.
sure enough, it was. So
Yeah, and we hate him on this show, so we can
yeah,
say
no,
nothing but bad things about Don.
nothing good.
Hmm.
Uh, but they do. There's really not much in terms of plot of the movie. There's some like towards the end of it, but like when they're
Hmm.
like leading up to like getting the club ready, it's like, oh, okay, we got to get like we got to decide what type of music to play, and that's when they do like the 40s and 80s number, and then it's like, okay, well, now we got to get you some glitz, and like that. They tell Gene Kelly he needs to get some glitz. He's like, oh, glitz, like pizzazz, like, and then they uh, and then they go to a clothing store and they have a big musical number
Yes.
with Gene Kelly trying on different outfits, and then like all types of different like 80s wipes and everything like that.
Yeah, it's
And
full on 80s.
what did you think of that number? The all over the world.
Oh, I like that one. That one was a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of fun stuff going on, like the people in the windows and they turn and they're all wearing like different costumes and stuff like that. No, that was a good one.
Yeah, I liked it too when they did they had like 5 or 6 dressing rooms, and like 6
Mhm.
different people walk in, and then they all come out and they all look like Gene Kelly at the and
Yeah.
or they'll or like Gene Kelly will come dancing out in like a Hawaiian shirt, and then they'll do like a neon outline of like his body, and then they'll shoot it out towards the screen.
Yes, yeah. I like how they're just trying all this different stuff. Um the only thing is Michael Beck here, he gives up on he's going to give up on this dream just because he can't see Olivia Newton-John anymore. And I was
Yeah.
like, come on. Just because you can't see her anymore, you're going to be like, yeah, sorry Gene Kelly, we're not doing anything anymore.
Well, yeah, and I thought that's what's gonna. I thought he was gonna do something like he gave like because they're like, oh well, she helped you complete your dream,
Mhm.
so you don't need her anymore. And I thought he was going to do like, well, now my new dream is to live with her, or
Oh,
what?
I would have loved to have that. But no, instead he's just like, why can't she leave?
Well, we don't get there to that point because he's very depressed,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's trying to locate her, and then
Mhm.
he sees the mural, and he runs at he rollerblades at it at full speed, and then he jumps into the mural.
It's a smart idea, right?
He just figured that out on his own.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna run into this wall. Maybe he was trying to hurt himself.
Maybe, but then that turns out there's these gods, and they're like, no, you can't take her with you. That's she's not allowed, and they send him back. Basically, no, she can't go. And then Olivia Newton-John, she sings her own song called "Suspended in Time," which is like a slow song, and I like that one as well.
It was a good song. It wasn't interesting to look at though, because it was just zooming in on her face the whole time. But I get it; it's a ballad, so it's like it's her song, her moment.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like her big musical number, so like to show her range,
and her hair is flowing in the wind.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what more could he ask for?
Yeah, exactly. I do like that she isn't trying to cover her Australian accent up, and she just full on has her accent for most of the movie. I feel like
it's not like Grease.
Exactly. Yeah. Does her accent peek through in Grease?
Well, I think they do say she's from a different country in that one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I've never seen it.
But she isn't trying to hide it. But yeah. So she does get to go back to Earth, and then really, I mean, at this point, they just do another like, Sunny's happy to see her again, and then they're like the club is open, and they're just having a big musical number at this point. They sing the theme song called Xanadu, obviously.
Great song.
And I like that song. Probably like my favorite song of the group. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
And they open the musical number. Don't really say if the club was a success or they did anything, but because people are there, I guess it's all good. But
yeah, and there's no aftermath. We don't see where things go like at all.
Well, yeah, we get a little bit at the end. Because they open up the club. Kira comes back, Olivia Newton-John. They do like a big dance number. Everybody's happy, and then she leaves, and and he's like, "Oh man, this is awful." And then like, so all of a sudden, a waitress walks by that's also played by Olivia Newton-John. He's like, "Hey, wait!"
And then they talk to each other as the credits roll. How sweet. Yeah, but nice. I will say the final musical sequence is great. It's like really long, and they're doing everything. There's a lot of roller skating, dancing everywhere. They really went all out with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, like I could definitely see how this is a cult status movie because I could see it not having like the broad appeal of like other musicals that were more successful. But for at the time, like I think it's a great time capsule of like what was popular then. And like I said too, I mean, you may not like the movie or anything like that, but for like the music and the numbers and everything like that, it's pretty entertaining. I mean, the story, is whatever, but that's not really what we're here for.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're here just for some light entertainment, to have some fun and listen to some fun music. And that's what you get here. And I totally agree. I think it's just like a solid movie. It's not a bad movie in my eyes. It's just a good bit of fun. Really can't hate on it at all.
No. But apparently everyone did,
I can see maybe it's like maybe people just weren't wanting something so cheesy, I guess, because it is a little goofy, but I don't know. I think it knows it is. It's not like it's doing all this and it doesn't know that it's just like a goofy, fun musical.
Well, Variety said it's a stupendously bad film whose only salvage is the music. Roger Ebert gave it 2 out of 4 stars. And
that's not bad.
Called it a mushy and limp musical fantasy. So
dang.
I mean, which does not sound like a 2-star rating.
But, yeah, interesting.
I like I said, I could easily see how why people would like this movie because I had a good time with it,
Yeah.
and I can easily like if you're like a teenager or something like that, and like during like 1980, like when this movie came out, like you'd have to love a movie like this. It's like it's all types of popular music and everything. I think it would really become like synonymous with that. I think that's why a lot of adults ended up growing up with this movie because they loved it so much as kids.
Yeah, exactly. Something you could watch over and over.
Yeah, but did the Razzies agree? Well, like I said, this movie was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Actor, Worst Actress, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Original Song.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't if I were if because I watched a movie about it. That's the year Ordinary People won, right? 1980.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think 1980 is considered like at the time was considered one of the worst years for movies like ever. Yeah, and like so and I think this year at the Razzies they nominated like 10 movies.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the nominees for you right now and you can tell me what you think of it. So along with Xanadu, what was well first before I get into Best Picture, we've talked about Worst Director, one for Worst Director. So let's start with that one first.
Okay.
So, like I said, Robert Greenwald, the director of Xanadu, won for this category. Also nominated was John G. Avildsen.
No, not John G. Avildsen. I'm a huge fan.
I know, in all the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
But for the movie The Formula, so I have no idea that one. Brian De Palma, Dress to Kill, which is
no,
absolutely not one of my favorite movies of all time. William Friedkin's Cruising, like again another great movie. Richard Fleischer's The Jazz Singer remake, the one with Neil Diamond,
which I've never seen that one. I wonder if it's actually that bad.
I think so. I think Neil Diamond does blackface in that movie. Oh
wow! So they decided to keep that in.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Stanley Kubrick, The Shining,
one of the worst directors of all time, right, guys?
Yeah. That's what everyone says. And then Michael Ritchie for The Island, John Trent, Middle Age Crazy, Nancy Walker, Can't Stop the Music, and Gordon Willis for Windows.
Interesting. I'm really like I'm pretty sure Friday the 13th was nominated for Worst Picture, and I can't believe Sean Cunningham wasn't nominated for Worst Director.
Surprisingly, no, he was not.
Weird.
But no, I don't think they got this right. I think any one of these other people should have won, besides Brian De Palma and William Friedkin and Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, no, what an awful set of nominations that they would soon come. I'm sure 20 years down the line, I'd be like, why would we nominate these? But yeah, I'm sure whatever the other movies are, those should have won. I don't think that should have won Worst Director.
No, absolutely not. And then Worst Picture, along with Xanadu, was, like you said, Friday the 13th, Cruising, The Formula, The Jazz Singer, The Nude Bomb, and Raise the Titanic, Saturn III, and Windows. And of course, winning that year was Can't Stop the Music,
which I've heard is really bad. I haven't seen it, but I can only assume.
Yeah, just what everyone would love to see is a movie about the Village People.
And then I think they're the whole time like, no guys, we're straight. The Village People is a straight band. We're with women, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see Steve Guttenberg in that movie, be my guest.
Steve Guttenberg's in that movie?
Yeah, he's the star of it.
Oh, awesome! I love that guy. Said everybody.
That's what everyone said.
Yeah,
but I don't, along with Cruising, Friday the 13th, I don't think any of those movies should have been nominated for this. And it shouldn't even be listed on this list at all.
No, not at all.
And so, I mean, did they get it right if that one wins? I don't know. I haven't seen that one, so couldn't tell you.
Probably, I could see that one. Yeah.
Probably so. So we'll leave it at that and say yes, they got that wrong.
Yes. They got it
It's
wrong? No, they got it right.
well, no, for Xanadu being
Oh,
nominated.
well, yeah, they got it right that it didn't win. I'll at least say that, but they shouldn't have nominated it.
No, it should not. It shouldn't even be on here. I mean, there's other ones where it's like, okay, Happy Time Murders. Like, yeah, I get why that's there. It shouldn't have
Mhm.
won, but I get it. But and we've said this before, and I'll say it again. They're obviously attacking popular movies. I mean, because there's got to be some Z grade movie
Oh,
that came
yeah.
out that's like one of the worst pieces of garbage you've ever seen,
Yeah,
and
something made for like $100 and like just the worst actors. People, somebody who doesn't even know how to handle a camera is filming it.
right, and this looks like terrible. So I mean, obviously
But
that the real worst picture does not ever win.
but I guess would you rather them pick on the Hollywood production that makes, that like the Hollywood producers are going to survive after it, or like an indie crap movie where like, which one would you rather them bully? I guess it's more of like,
I
are they
I
pointing out like this is what's wrong with Hollywood?
I guess, yeah. But
Yeah.
they have their own set of problems where they get on like these weird like kicks where they just love to like pick on movies for
Yeah.
some reason. Like they're
They
just
pick
that don't deserve it.
Yeah, they pick on movies that are not nearly as bad. They pick on children. I mean, the Razzies honestly shouldn't exist, but it's funny that they do. So,
I know. It's funny. I mean, it's like an institution now. I mean, they've been
it
around
is.
now for what 40 plus years at this point.
Yeah, so might as well keep them going.
Yeah, might as well keep the good times going.
Yeah,
They've been in existence for almost half the time the Oscars have been there, if you think of it.
you're right. That's kind of crazy to think.
It's so, but they've earned their place. But yeah, like I said, do I recommend this movie though? Yes, I do. I think it's highly entertaining. I think it's a very easy watch. Like I said, the music is worth it, so I definitely say give this one a watch.
Yep, check it out. It's a good time. Also, check out the soundtrack too, if
Yeah,
you haven't.
at the very least, at least pick up the soundtrack. Go to your local record store, ask for the Xanadu
San,
soundtrack
I'm
on
sure
vinyl.
they have it.
They do. Because I did Google it just to see, and they do have. There are. You can get it out there. It is available.
Yeah, I mean, it sold so much. I'm sure.
You can get I think it was like I saw you can get like a first pressing for like $400.
Okay, no, I'm good. I don't need that.
You want that hanging on your Xanadu wall?
Yeah, well, my Xanadu wall is missing a first pressing vinyl, so
Well, maybe for Christmas.
yeah. But my Xanadu wall is just all pictures of Michael Beck.
And one Gene Kelly in the corner.
Yeah, no Olivia Newton-John, none of that.
I love Michael Beck and Xanadu.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that'll do it for Xanadu. We're gonna continue Razzie month with our next week picks, which start on Tuesday, which will be what, Nathan?
All right, Ryan. Well, I think it's time. I think there was a reason that we did these Razzies, or the reason I really wanted to, because there was a movie I've been wanting to cover for a long time. So we're talking about Barbara Streisand's Yentl. I'm just kidding. We're doing Showgirls. We're doing 1995 Showgirls, which is streaming right now on Criterion. I can already tell you that episode's probably going to be a red flag episode. So I'm excited for that one.
Well, Nathan, I knew you. He didn't tell me in advance that he was picking this one.
Oh,
So,
you
but
knew?
well, I'm glad you picked it because I was like, I'm going to pick this one if Nathan picks Showgirls,
Perfect.
and you did. So I think this will be the perfect double feature for it. So Nathan, along with Showgirls, we're going to be talking about another worst picture winning movie from that decade. And this one is not available on the Criterion channel, so you're gonna have to buy it, unfortunately. But you can rent it for like $2.
Fine.
But anyway, it's gonna be 1996's Striptease
Yeah, perfect. What a great double feature.
So that, like I said, that one is you'll have to pay for that one.
Oh
But
God, all my letterbox followers that don't pay attention to me are gonna be like, what the hell?
showgirl
What a
striptease.
freak.
But yeah, we will talk about that one next week. Can't wait for you to join us.
Mhm.
So if you have any thoughts and opinions about the podcast, please email us over at drivein-double-feature-podcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on X at DIDFpod. And check out the Patreon at patreon.com/drivein-double-feature-podcast. But until next time.
Until next time.